US President Donald Trump's pre-holiday push to claim a dramatic Ukraine peace breakthrough is stalling. Squeezed by GOP infighting, diplomatic missteps, and a shrinking negotiation window. With Trump set to leave for Mar-a-Lago tonight, and no Trump-Zelensky meeting on the books, the administration's insistence on urgency is looking increasingly detached from reality. Efforts intensified over the weekend, with Secretary of State Marco Rubio leading marathon negotiations in Geneva, talks he framed as a turning point in the process.
It is in my personal view that we've had probably the most productive and meaningful meeting so far in this entire process since we've been involved from the beginning. We have a very good work product that was already built on a foundation of input from all the relative parties involved here, and we were able to go through some of those items now, point by point, and I think we've made good progress. Our teams have now gone to their rooms as we're working on some of the suggestions that were proffered to us. So we're working through making some changes, some adjustments, in the hopes of furthering narrowing the differences and getting closer to something that both Ukraine and obviously the United States are very comfortable with. Obviously, this will ultimately have to be signed off by our presidents, although I feel very comfortable about that happening given the progress we've made. And then obviously there's the Russian side of the equation. But again, we think we have some pretty substantial insights over the last 9 months into some of the things that are really important to them.
But the optimism has been overshadowed by controversy. The initial 28-point U.S. peace plan, criticized inside Washington as overly generous to Moscow, has effectively been gutted. The White House pulled the framework after backlash, forcing negotiators back to the drawing board. The administration now insists momentum is real, but admits gaps remain, and no meeting with Zelensky has been scheduled.
There are no plans at this moment in time. As you know, things can change very quickly around here, so we'll keep you all apprised, but there's no meeting scheduled right now. As for where we are, I spoke with Secretary Rubio at length. I spoke with the president as well. Everybody inside feels optimistic about what happened and transpired yesterday in Geneva. Secretary Rubio, Special Envoy Witkoff, the whole team really worked through the points of that 28-point peace plan that the United States authored with input from both sides, the Russians and the Ukrainians, and ultimately the vast majority of these points have been agreed upon. The Ukrainians have worked on language with us together, and you heard that from their delegation directly yesterday. So we feel as though we're in a very good place. Of course, we have to make sure that all of these points are agreed to, and then of course we're going to have to make sure the other party in this war, the Russians, agree to them as well. But I think the president deserves a great deal of credit for the amount of energy and effort he's put into trying to bring these two sides to an end of this war. He wants to see this killing stop. As for any deadlines, he wants to see this end as soon as possible.
Ukraine is now publicly validating that the U.S. proposal has been heavily revised. President Volodymyr Zelensky says the plan is no longer 28 points, confirming the scale of changes demanded after the Washington backlash. Zelensky also made clear that the most sensitive issues, including territory and NATO, will now be addressed directly with Trump.
As of now, there are no longer 28 points after Geneva. Our team has presented a new draft of steps, and this is the right approach. I will discuss sensitive issues with President Trump. Ukraine will never be an obstacle to peace. Millions of Ukrainians expect and deserve a dignified peace.
Kyiv is pushing for Zelensky to visit the United States at the earliest suitable date, according to Ukraine's national security chief, a move seen as essential to avoid negotiations slipping into paralysis. The White House, however, is silent on whether such talks will happen this week. Meanwhile, US and Russian officials are preparing for separate discussions in Abu Dhabi, even as critics warn that Washington's botched rollout has already handed Moscow invaluable political intelligence. And with Trump heading south tonight, negotiators face a clock that may run out before any breakthrough can be locked in. For now, the push for peace remains firmly on hold.